Is the auto industry having or in the middle of an identity crisis? How many award shows are there? How many people can you fit on stage at one time? What are all these podcasts for? Why is everyone shouting about how much they enjoyed typical time with coworkers and business meetings with companies throwing money at them? How many leadership slogans can you like in one day? Is company Kool-Aid culture all that matters now? Is your boss trolling your social media? Are you that close to losing your job? Welcome to the Neutral Zone, everyone, on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where some people learn more about how the automotive industry actually works. Let's jump into some industry news and headlines that include rush to retail before automotive tariffs. Trump couldn't care less about automakers. His words. And Amazon Autos is moving into used cars. This is show 392. On ATI Auto Business, we're going to talk with Shaun Raines, CEO of Hired Guns Agency. Shaun Raines loves to talk about marketing, advertising, and controversial stuff. He's going to make a great guest tonight. He likes to talk about making content, why you make content, methodologies, reasons, authenticity. No way. Most businesses don't have a marketing problem, they have an identity problem, says Shaun. That can't be true. This is Automotive, where everyone wins an award. Well done, Matthew Davis. See, Matthew's better at this than I am. Like now, he's got the baton. These I think I've been around too long. I've seen too much. And I saw this. Let's walk through this. It was a video that got pretty crazy, so I'm just going to go through a few slides. If LinkedIn was real life, so they're on LinkedIn and they're having a round of beers, and they're talking about if I finish my beer, and then everyone's on LinkedIn saying, "Yeah, that's awesome! Oh, I celebrate that. I love that." And then everyone really claps because, yeah, you finish your beer. That's amazing. You finish your beer. That's so cool. We love you and your beer finishing. And it's great. There's a single. All right. Enough of that. Okay. But I've got more beers, everybody. No, you don't have to like it. You just know that it's true. Hey, we're excited to connect. We're having beers. It's fantastic news. Wow, that's amazing. You got a beer. Oh my God. That's awesome. So LinkedIn really has become weird. I'm assuming you've noticed, right? Like, you've seen this. And you know this. And you may be part of the weirdness. And at some point, you gotta be thinking, what happened? Why? I thought we were getting to know our ecosystem, but really, I'm just doing things that my boss will like or that my coworkers will like, but it no longer reflects who I am. What I'm proud to say is that on ATI Auto Business, I know you probably have to click off. If your boss sees you here, you're done. On my channel, people are still posting as if they were human beings. And I celebrate that. That is awesome. Oh, thanks, Mark. See, and Mark, it's going to be just me and you being, like, you can't tell people you were live on ATI in the live chat. This has become kind of that secret. It's fine. We're the neutral zone. I get it. You got, let's see. I'm going to check my audio too. How's the audio, Mark? The audio's okay? Let's see here. Let's just juice it up. Let's go up 1 decibel. Mic check 1, 2, 3. It looks low to me. All right. So everybody's talking about Pete Hegseth. And Pete's like, listen, man. So you saw the launch codes or whatever. Hey, I was just doing my job. It's somebody else. Somebody else did it. It's not my gig. The golden age is here. Yeah, listen to that guy. Yeah, golden age is here. It's Tuesday night. Oh, the audio's good. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Did you hear that? That's the bell. It's Tuesday nights, sometimes 7 p.m., occasionally. If you're redlining, I have a join button for you. On ATI, we want you to join. If you're redlining and you know it, clap your hands. Okay. I mean, but no, you don't want to post that on LinkedIn. I just saw this. Cory Booker rails against Trump and Disneyfication of U.S. He made some big speech. I'm not here to go on about liberals and all that stuff, but I do think automotive is Disneyified. We've gone into Disneyification here in automotive. I also have a show on Thursdays occasionally, and since there is the Doge chainsaw, I figure that we're going to mix load board with Doge. We got CD Scloge on Thursday. The future of inefficient chaos in car shipping. I'll take it. We're going to do that. Where would Doge make big cuts in auto transport? We don't want to talk about that. Well, we'll try it Thursday. There's new pricing. Sue is really upset about the pricing. But Jay, just smile. Oh, no. People are being real on that show, too? Dang it. I didn't read it, though. All right, let's do some news. All right, great. Oh, we're about 8 minutes after. Hey, what's up, Peach? It's not over yet, buddy. Okay. Tariffs. Tariffs are, well, they're here. It's all people talk about. You got Pete Hegseth, tariffs, and then maybe Pete McAfee. Oh, yeah, that's right. Layoffs, too. Yeah, great. But the golden age is here, everybody. Come on. So, GM, Toyota, Ford, Honda, Hyundai, Kia are riding the pre-tariff rush to retail sales. And Automotive News is offering 50% off their subscription, too. It's a swap meet in a hurricane situation. U.S. consumers spooked by the threat of looming tariffs may pose to new vehicle prices in coming weeks and months. They gave a major lift to retail and overall industry sales last month. But don't tell that to the guy that was bragging about sales in March and adapting to the situation. March retail volume jumped 19% at Ford, 15% at Hyundai, 25% at Kia. Honda, March, 13% light truck deliveries. GM racked up first quarter sales. And then again, he could have just been an amazing salesman in March. It's all good, bro. Randy Parker, CEO of Hyundai Genesis Motor North America, said that the first quarter closed one of the most outstanding stretches he'd witnessed in a very long time. Probably the best weekend he's since Clash for Clunkers. Lots of people rushed in trying to beat the tariffs. Beat the tariffs. Okay. Mercedes-Benz faces $1.7 billion loss as tariffs threaten U.S. operations. So there's a downside. CEOs advocating for a zero-tariff agreement between the U.S. and Europe in response to the growing trade tensions. And his answer was, we're not doing that zero-tariff agreement stuff, man. Mercedes-Benz worked to strengthen its manufacturing footprint in the U.S. over the years, including producing some vehicles in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Come on, we're on the soil. The company experienced explosive growth in the American market by continuously investing in U.S. manufacturing. Didn't work. However, despite this dedication, the company remains in a difficult position with incoming tariffs. Many of its components are sourced outside the U.S. But, I mean, at least 1/3 of it is in the U.S. Oh, roughly 2/3 of their vehicles delivered to dealerships across the U.S. last year were imported. Although the popular GLE and GLS SUVs are built in America, they aren't exempt from the auto tariffs as they rely on engines and transmissions from Europe. Dang it. Even if a vehicle is assembled in the U.S., it'll still be subject to the 25% tariff on critical components, transmissions, engines, and electronics if they're sourced from outside North America. You're not going to get away with it that easy. Top countries from which U.S. imported passenger cars the most in 2024, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Canada, and Germany are all going to feel major hits. NAFTA. Psh. Trump couldn't care less if car makers raise prices. That's liberal propaganda. President Donald Trump said he couldn't care less if automakers raise car prices in response to the planned tariffs on imported vehicles. Love the guy. He's awesome. That's so awesome. Why Trump's auto tariffs will hurt his working class supporters? Don't care. Working class car buyers will be hit the hardest by U.S. President Donald Trump's they voted for the libs. 25% tariff on imported vehicles because almost all low-cost new cars sold in the U.S. are built elsewhere. Low-income buyers will suffer another blow from expected hikes in used car prices as demand surges and supply shrinks. New vehicles across the board are just going to be more expensive. You're just going to have to get richer, buddy. That's going to push more buyers into the used car market, which will also raise the price of used car vehicles. But you know what? Who cares? New Trump tariffs could add billions to claim costs. Analysts warn of supply chain shocks, rate pressure, underwriting of uncertainty. New U.S. auto tariffs, along with additional proposed tariffs targeting key trading partners, could increase costs and introduce further volatility across property, auto, life, and health insurance lines, making America great again. You know, it's just like Johnny Depp in that Sauvage cologne ad. Tariff! Smell like a president! I'm sorry. Trump to set unleash Liberation Day tariffs. This is like minutes ago. This is where everyone's just sitting around the fire, just burning everything. Trump's going to roll out measures flanked by cabinet members in the Rose Garden tomorrow at 2 p.m., 4 Eastern, who knows, promising they will stop America being ripped off and deliver a new golden age. That's where they got it. Boy, the liberals aren't the only ones copying each other in the news. Amazon's move into the used car market will not be direct-to-consumer model. Yes, Amazon Autos is moving into the used car market, but to be clear, they're not going to compete with traditional dealerships. It's not a direct-to-consumer model. Instead, Amazon Autos would continue using a marketplace model where dealer partners would use the platform to list and sell their own used vehicles. Amazon would not, definitely not, no way, never know, own the inventory nor be the direct seller. For its used car program, Amazon Autos is currently working with the same set of franchise dealers from its new car program. And I have a bridge to sell you. Virginia lawmakers approved speed limiting devices for the worst speeders. A Virginia law allowing judges to mandate speed limiters in dangerous drivers' vehicles could spark similar legislation regulating excessive speeding in other states. But, you know, they're only looking at liberals. Virginia would become the first state in the nation to allow judges to order anti-speeding devices to be installed in the cars of worst speeders, a substantial victory for transportation advocates and one they hope can be replicated elsewhere. That's no big deal. ATI is where some people, a few people, maybe like one person learns more about the automotive industry, new, used, dealer auction logistics. We don't ship cars, we move information. Just get through the slides. You can get the podcast. I wouldn't. You can go to atiautobusiness.com, click contact us. And yeah, I know I scared a few people. I said in the email today, awards addiction, Kool-Aid culture, identity crisis. LinkedIn, I'm worried about you. Jeez, Jay. Well, you know what? It's not just me. This guy wants to talk about culture, censorship, ethics of the auto industry. What if the word gets out? Shaun asks, why is your company marketing like it's 2005? Seriously, why are we still gating PDFs like they're VIP access, the best kept secret? What I want to know is why, if I want to use a Microsoft product for like 5 seconds, like somebody sends me a Word doc and I just want to read it, why do I have to pay Microsoft like $100 just to open a Word doc? I don't get it, man. I don't know. I can ask Shaun. Shaun is also doing artwork, and what is it? Friday nights. He's got Midjourney Fridays. We're going to talk about AI a little bit too. We're going to talk about marketing, automotive, branding, snowflakes, podcasts, ROI, and more. Join us if you dare. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our PriceWatch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter to a quote the right price the first time, every time. You know that you should run your business with TAQ. Let's say you get a quote. Let's say they contact you for the quote because, well, you have a truck and you have an asset and you can actually deliver that thing. It's not something you just say. It's not just lightning in a bottle. You need it could be the middle of the night. And by the way, you don't have time. Did you know? Hey, Shaun, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Jay?
Good. I just jumped right to you. This is about leads. I was just reading an ad for Superflow Systems. What's going on, Superflow, in the live chat. And they do leads in the middle of the night. And the reason I jumped to you is how many seconds... Ooh, here we go. How many seconds do you have to respond to a lead before they're gone?
That's somewhat debatable, but... I would say that 15-minute rule that's been around for 15 years it's probably turned into about 15 or 30 seconds. Instant gratification has poisoned us all. And I say poisoned because it's not necessarily a good thing to expect everything like that. Because after all, we're still humans. So, but yeah, you got to be fast. Middle of the night leads.
You got to be really fast. Yeah.
Really fast.
And I thank you for taking that question. All right, before we go any further, do me a favor, introduce yourself, say hello, and tell us a little bit more about you.
My name is Shaun Raines. I'm the founder of Hired Guns Agency. Most people don't know that part of my background. I have worked for Reynolds and Reynolds. I ran Reach Local's automotive division in paid search in the mid-2000s. Last corporate job I had was at Dealer On as their VP of marketing. Lot of experience with websites and digital marketing. But I ventured out on my own. I think it's getting close to 8 years, doing a couple of different things. One, a business called Dealer Superhero, which was essentially, I hate consulting because it's just take off your watch and I'll tell you what time it is. And most people that are doing it are complete idiots. But I did that because I have a passion for wanting to kind of protect the interests of dealers, because they need somebody that will protect them from all the things that happen in Gotham. So the idea for Dealer Superhero, but that was kind of a one-man business. And then during the pandemic, I kind of had a light bulb moment of how podcasts were, and video series, doesn't have to be a podcast, but they're a very, very, very effective tool for capturing content about what it is your business does, who you are, all of the things that your target audience really wants to know about you. And so a couple years ago, I started Hired Guns Agency, and that's what I'm doing now, which is primarily focused on B2B, although we do have some clients that are direct to consumer, and it's heavy content creation. That's what we do.
I'm going to bring up, let's do this. I'm going to share, I'm going to bring up your website. I always, I like to, when I have a guest, I like to take a look at their website. I forget half the time, but you just made me think of that. So here's your website.
Yeah.
HiredGunsAgency.com. I'm going to put the link in the live chat.
Thank you.
And I know you kind of told me a little bit about you told me a little bit about it. I also, before the end of the show, I want to talk about the ROI Calculator, which is on. So what you do, you go to, let's see. Oh, here it is.
There are two calculators. CAC, which unfortunately most of the companies in automotive don't even know what that means, which is your customer acquisition cost.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, keep
going. And then the other tool is events or trade show ROI. And you tell me when you want me to give you kind of the backstory of how those things ended up on my website. It's actually kind of the catalyst for you and I talking and you reaching out to me. So I'm happy to share the backstory on why those things exist. They are now the most popular pages of our website, ungated and just free for people in marketing that really should use these if they don't.
Well, you got to gate those things now that they're popular. No, we'll come back to that'll be our teaser.
Yes,
We're going to come back to this.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to stick around. Somebody's like, really, Jay? Why don't you just tell me? I'm already here. Well, that would be unautomotive of me.
That's right.
So why would I say something like that? What do you mean unautomotive? And I just saw Cory Booker was talking about Disneyification, and I've also been saying like libs and okay. I just want to say this. We're in a blender now.
True.
I mean, we can't get away from, and this is why I also think like LinkedIn's gotten really strange. We're all pretending. LinkedIn, what I see on LinkedIn is this pretend life that doesn't really exist. And then in real life is this blender of media and craziness and political angst and
Yes. It's a Jekyll and Hyde environment. If somebody who's on LinkedIn, and by the way, if you post on LinkedIn every day, you're in the top 1% of creators on LinkedIn. So there are, there's 1 billion users or something. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn or LinkedIn accounts, but very few people are using it regularly. But the Jekyll and Hyde reference is if you do post regularly on LinkedIn and you also have an X account, formerly Twitter, and you post regularly there, you will see oftentimes the contrast of people who try to be one thing on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn does still dominate more of people's sensibility around it's supposed to be a business kind of community. Although the backhanded and not so backhanded, political stuff is absolutely now finding its way all over LinkedIn too, which is disappointing, but it is a fact. But yeah, you can look at a person who has both of those social media platforms, and what they're saying on X, I guarantee you, will tell you who they really are. They just don't post that on LinkedIn because they'll get fired. And you know what I was doing before you brought me on the show? I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and you know what I see every day on LinkedIn? People who are happy to share that they're starting a new position, right? Or I'm open to work. Tons and tons of that. Well, I wonder why. some of those people that actually can't keep their foot out of their own mouth, or they think they had one good season of sales, and then that means that they're going to have the same success every other place that they demand a massive salary and no guarantee of results. That's why you get a lot of churn of those people. So yeah, it's pretty entertaining to see what's going on LinkedIn. It's an interesting environment for a lot of reasons.
That's really well said, and I had not thought of the Twitter connection. Oh, here, you know what I'm gonna do? I think that I'm gonna add a little. Oh, look, I'm gonna add a little brightness. There we go. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? So, you're right about Twitter. That's so. I don't really. I should spend more time on Twitter because it would probably level me out.
It will certainly give you an environment that might give you that relief of venting, right? When things are driving you crazy, because you can say almost anything on Twitter or X, and it's going to fly. I mean, you can't threaten to, kill people and violence and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, as long as you do it in the name of the nation, I think. Okay, that was a little. Whoa, Jay.
There's plenty.
But
of
I
that
still can't get
X.
over the 2,600 pardons for the. I don't. But okay, we're still talking about automotive. Please stick around, and we're not going to do this all night. But the reason we're talking like this is that you have the automotive industry, and you have this image on LinkedIn, and then you have it's really invaded the trade shows.
Oh yeah.
Like trade. Are you going to trade shows like you were?
No. I used to get paid to go to them, and was very involved on the speaking circuit. Although I was in Vegas last week, it wasn't for automotive. It was because I am kind of relentlessly interested in learning new things, and so I've been all over various parts of AI for a couple of years, and it's caught the attention of a few people, and I've got a buddy who is in the same. And so we were brought out by a show for marketplace sellers, people that sell on Amazon, Walmart's marketplace, to do an AI hackathon, which I've done 2 of those now at Digital Dealer in the fall, and they're bringing us back to do that this fall. I like that because it's a return to hands-on keyboards. People that come and spend time in that particular part of the show, they learn something. In fact, they learn a lot. For some people, it definitely feels like they're drinking from the fire hose. But the feedback of every single one of these AI hackathons, including the one I just did last Wednesday, it's amazing. I end up connecting with all kinds of people, primarily through LinkedIn, who want to learn. But as far as all the other shows, no, I have to pick and choose. Probably like you, I'm running a business now, and most of the time it isn't advantageous for me to be at the events. And I speak to clients about this, and I speak to people that are prospects when they want to know my opinion about why because they feel like that's changed. My thinking on events has changed. This is my general thoughts on events, and it's always kind of been this way. They are kind of like high school reunions, right? And there's a reason why I've only gone to a couple of my high school reunions, and I didn't go to the first 2 or 3 of them because I'm like, no thanks. And there are a lot of people that love events in automotive for reasons that have nothing to do with improving themselves personally or their businesses. They may be building up their personal brand, they may be building up their company brand, and they may be doing some other things. But I tell people, if you're a company trying to decide whether or not to go to an event, a big event, let's just say you're trying to decide if we go to NADA, that's not a small price tag, right? Especially if you're going to do a booth, especially if you're going to pay all of the costs to have internet and power. If you have a big team, if you have a 10 by 20 booth alone is very, very expensive. So once you calculate all those costs, you find out, well, what are we getting in return for it? And you have to know, I believe, and I advocate to companies why you would go in the first place. Because for some companies that have no brand recognition, nobody knows who you are. And by the way, people don't buy from companies that they don't know exist. So if that's you as a company, then NADA might be a place where you might write a fairly substantial check because it will draw the largest number of people who represent your target audience, right? And I have to walk companies through understanding even the difference between their ideal customer profile, maybe they have more than one profile, their TAM or their total addressable market, An example of that would be any website provider in automotive thinks that all 16, 17, 18,000 franchise dealers are their total addressable market. But that's not true. It couldn't be further from the truth, because the top 3 website providers probably own 85% of the market. And then you've got six publics, all of which centrally manage their website platforms. You have several website management companies on behalf of their brand. I don't think there's a single brand that it doesn't have a management structure now. So you just start to calculate all that and you realize, let's just say there are 10 website providers and you're not in the top 3, 4 through 10, it's a bloodbath. Like, you have to have very strategic reasons to go to events. So it could be a yes, where there will be more people at NADA than there will be at whatever, like a Brian Pash DMSC, that either is about to happen or is maybe happening this week. Smaller event, but it has a different purpose. The way Brian is trying to organize his events is meant to be smaller and go deep, typically on specific issues. NADA very broad. But if you need brand recognition, I would tell somebody, go where most of your audience is going to be. That's where you need to be. Now, if you already have some brand recognition, then that might be a place where you're going to actually put together very intelligent ways not to have to bribe people by taking a $50 demo at your booth, but literally give people real reasons to come and have a conversation with you. How do you do that? You were already creating content, relentlessly putting it out every single day about the insights and the reasons why your company exists, so that the audience is already interested, not so you have to coerce them or manipulate them into talking to you. And so my kind of light came on of the insanity of this several years ago, but I couldn't really say much about it because it ruffles people's feathers. But there is absolutely a kind of pattern of logic that you should be thinking through as to whether or not you want to go and spend that kind of money on those events. So no, I pick and choose. There are a couple that I go to, but not nearly like I used to. And I will never, I don't think there will ever be a reason for my company to go and have a booth in these places.
Oh, I was just going to ask you about a booth. But before we keep going, here's what I'm going to do. I checked in with the guys on the brightness. I'm bringing my brightness down just a hair. I like a little contrasty, mysterious.
You do
Film
you,
noir.
man. Make it look good. You never know.
Well,
having me on this you could have like 5 million views on this thing.
Maybe there's too much flesh. That flesh that
Is there such a thing?
Right? Is there flesh? So while we're talking, Shaun, what is the best, if somebody wants to email you about branding, advertising, trade shows, well, how do they get a hold of you?
The best way is, as long as you spell my name correctly, SHAUN, at hiredgunsagency.com. No spaces, nothing, just hiredgunsagency.com.
Yeah.
And that's great. And then I'm really easy to find on LinkedIn. And so if you jump on and connect with me on LinkedIn or follow my content, you'll see I post clips almost every day, usually 2-3 times a week minimum. And they're all little clips from conversations like this, conversations that I have with prospects, and also podcast episodes that we do internally. So those are all just clips from conversations, oftentimes answering a lot of questions and talking through things like we are right now.
Awesome. Okay, I think I got it right. I put it in LinkedIn. Okay, so that's the thing on booths. See, what I have learned, and I'm just for the record going to say what I say about trade shows. I like trade shows. When I go to them, I'm reminded. But what's happened with companies and oh my gosh, I saw a post recently, like they're taking like 30 people to the trade show. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Your customer is getting it through the nose so that you can take 30 people to one trade show. Did you know that that's the subtext? Like, holy crap, you don't know?
You also substantially increase the opportunity for one of those representatives of your brand to actually do something at a trade show, because maybe it's their first time going. And I don't know about you, but the first couple times I went to the big trade shows, I have stories to tell.
I'm with you, man.
Have too many drinks, right? All of a sudden your inhibitions come down. You're having conversations with people, and literally people are forming opinions of the company that you work for in all of those moments.
Because of too many beer bottles in a photo. Yeah, no, it's true. And this same company is started this post thing about their culture. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, this is literally why I brought back the Kool-Aid. I haven't had Kool-Aid on my show.
What flavor is that
Kool-Aid? That Kool-Aid. What?
What flavor is that Kool-Aid?
Company culture, of course.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, whose company colors are green?
Right? There is no more green Kool-Aid. I think it's a throwback to St. Patrick's Day. I think that Kool-Aid's been sitting there since. Oh no way! Kevin Miranda just joined ATI.
No way.
Wow, Kevin. It's a small group too. You know, because I realized, whoa. I realized during when I was putting the news together, like, why join ATI, right? This is branding 101 or 102, whatever it takes. Like, why join a company? And I realized because here, and I've been doing this a long time, is that I do have. If you're kind of fed up with crap, that's what this channel's for.
Yeah, there aren't very many places that feel, you can't call it safe, but maybe bold enough to have that open playground to be far more than constructively critical. For whatever reason in our industry, maybe it's what you said, it's too Disney-fied, it's too nice. I think there's a way to be constructively critical. Maybe sometimes it's even going to come across as like, that hurts a little bit, it stings. But there's something to be said for, if the truth hurts, that may not actually be my fault. Maybe that's your fault, that the truth hurts you because you're a liar, right? Because you actually deceive people, because you actually manipulate people. Like, there's a whole lot of that happens in business and in automotive. And those are typically the people that if you criticize them, they will come after you. And so I think we've had enough of that in the automotive industry over the years that some people are just gun shy. And so, I mean, if you don't have the receipts, if you don't have really the content necessary to back up some kind of sharp criticism, then you probably shouldn't. But there's a whole lot of stuff in our industry that's worthy of, people calling it out, and no one ever seems to do it. So it seems like maybe that's your environment.
Well, it's bad for business. It is bad for. I mean, this place is not a fountain of advertising, and I've had folks take a chance, but I do know. I mean, it definitely cost me business, but I think I've cost business just because of who I am, what I say, the life I've led. What am I gonna do? Here's one for you. I actually think the sequel to Joker is a good movie because the movie is as if it happened in his head. So it's not a literal musical. It's Joker's musical.
I can't provide any commentary because, don't judge me, I haven't seen either of those movies.
You don't need, and that's fine. And I hope I didn't spoil it, but I think differently. Actually, I meant to add a slide. And I say this now in some of my business meetings. I just think differently. I accept it. Some people accept that, some people don't. And in automotive, that's not good. And here's what really sucks about that is the leadership slogans that fly on LinkedIn. Oh my God, you could throw a dart and hit 10 leadership slogans on LinkedIn on any given day at any given hour. And there are like 400 likes, which is really mind-blowing because I don't know how much. Are you even reading the slogan? Are you just scrolling, clicking for slogans because your boss is watching?
Yeah.
But some of those slogans celebrate things like think differently, which doesn't work.
Well, it's funny because there are a lot of people that say things like think differently, and exactly what they're doing isn't different at all. It's literally, they think they're going to be the Tony Robbins of automotive. And I have friends that's kind of the role they like to play. And I can't ever tell them, like, I guess I could, but I just don't care to. Um, it if you have to um, get out of bed and consume the content of some person who's never achieved even as much as you have personally and clap up their achievements, which are not really achievements, but because they've been drinking the Kool-Aid of somebody that tells them, man, you can fly, even though they don't have wings. There are, there are countless people that come to my mind in automotive alone over 30 years, call it, that I feel bad for because they don't realize that they spent their personality value, their intellectual value, their call it their friendship value to a lot of people because they're trying to be something that they're actually not. So for you, if it's who you are to represent the way you like to communicate and to talk about the subjects that you care about, I, as long as you're not hurting people, I think it's like other than their feelings, I don't really care about that. But in general, I think it's important for people to like be who you are because there are a lot of people in automotive who I don't think they're being who they are at all. Because actually, I know some of them, and when I'm around them and there are no lights on or they're not making, some video to put out on, the internet, they're a little bit different. And especially in terms of their knowledge, shallow, a lot of shallowness. So it's really easy for a person like that to say, think differently. I posted that. That was in one of my posts not very long ago. But specifically, I was challenging marketing teams, especially at companies that are selling products and services to dealers, to stop running playbooks that were built in 2005 because it doesn't work that way anymore. Like even the investment culture for these companies that take on investors. Oh, we just took on a Series A, we raised $100 million, and we have no idea what we're doing with our go-to-market strategy. So we're going to overhire salespeople, we're going to oversegment and overhire our marketing team, and we're going to run shit that was run by somebody who had success back in 2001 and 2002. Their marketing degree was achieved in 1999, and they don't know how to do any of this shit. They literally don't know. They can talk about SEO, they can talk about paid search, they can talk about email marketing, but they've never run any of it themselves. Anybody who is in my Generation X, actually I have some content because I had this conversation with somebody recently. So within the next week, there'll be some stuff coming out on this. But if you're Gen X or a boomer and you're like a marketing leader, you've got a marketing degree, your degree is worthless. You didn't learn any of this stuff unless you're like me and you're like, I'm just going to be that nerd who kind of followed his grandpa around like, okay, how do we repair the engine? How do we put the new valve cover gasket on the Rambler, Grandpa? Let's do it. How do I learn how to siphon gas out of the tank so I can cut your grass? Like, if you didn't have that as part of your growing up in the marketing age, you were probably too high in your organization when all of this digital explosion happened. And then you were just leading people like, I need these people. And those people rely on experts, whether they're outsourced to agencies like mine or whether they pay a lot of money to have the best talent in-house. So if you're going to try to do it all with W-2s, full-time employees, if anything goes wrong in your campaigns and you're trying to get these moonshots, and then all of a sudden your revenue, it's what I posted today actually on LinkedIn, takes a shot and then takes another shot, and then 3 quarters in a row, you're going back to raise more money. We got to do some more fundraising. Marketing's going to absolutely take the first hit. They're going to take the first hit. And if you're one of those people that doesn't know how to do all that stuff, there's no way for you to do more with less because you don't know how to do it. That's a scary place to be. And that's all over automotive. And nobody likes me talking about it because many of these people are people I've known for years and they're friends and they're nice people, but they don't know how to do the stuff I know how to do. And here I am telling people, stop doing a lot of that stuff because it's massively expensive, and build your brand, make content for the audience that you're supposed to sell to. So the day that the problem gets so bad, they think of you first. But instead, they spend tons of money on campaigns run by people that don't know what they're doing to do what? The same thing over and over and over. That's not different. That's the same. It's the same over and over and over. And it's just like a endless cycle. Self-defeating.
I was gonna say that because it is. Yeah, see. All right, so hurting people's feelings a little bit is gonna seem pretty welcome when we start to talk about the new movement of open to work, because I mean, I'm pretty sure already more marketing people have been let go from their positions than they thought was going to happen. And that's just stage one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, if I know you're doing some AI following because you got Midjourney Fridays, which I think is really neat. I think that's really neat. Tell me more about what's Midjourney Fridays. What are you doing?
So, and we can get into this if you want to. Our agency does use AI in some of our workflows, but it's very carefully crafted, and we spend a lot of time making sure that what we want it to do doesn't end up wasting us time. And so, and I could get into that more in detail, but I don't necessarily want to give away all of my secrets of some of the things that we do.
Not detail, but what is Midjourney, right? What's
Midjourney? is one of the first image generation AI tools that came out, and I posted about this pretty recently. I don't remember if I put it on LinkedIn, but I certainly put it on Facebook. A picture that a friend of mine, Chris Chatterton, who's been a buddy of mine for a long, long time, he's really talented, creative. He sends me this picture of a Honda Accord that looks like it's been obliterated in the rear end, and it's just sitting out on a freeway, and there's a kind of an accident scene. It doesn't show anybody. It looks like they're hurt. Just looks like this Honda had a bad day. And then he's telling me that it was made with AI. And this was, I want to say, November of 2022. And I was like, what? Now I could very clearly tell that it was AI. But then I was like, I've never seen any of the AI stuff look as good as this. And he said, yeah, it's Midjourney. You got to check it out. So I go and I look in Midjourney, and I have the experience that I think a lot of people did, which is this isn't actually easy to get into. Like, I had to go through Discord, and I'm like, oh man, okay.
Yeah, I actually
I
don't have a Discord account. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to set up a Discord account. That's one of the things I know that is different and separates me from a lot of people. Not everybody. There are people around my age group that are also very talented, and they love to learn, and they'll go and do all this stuff and painstakingly figure out, well, how do I set up my Discord account so I can start using Midjourney? I'm one of those guys. And so I did that, and I started playing around with Midjourney. When Chris sent me that picture, he told me that he was working with a client, a body shop, that needed a specific picture that he couldn't find in Shutterstock. He couldn't find in Getty Images. He couldn't find in Envato Elements or wherever you source your images, Deposit Photos. There's so many sources. So he decided to go to Midjourney and see if he could create it. And he had prompted a couple of different things. Back then, most of the prompting was very simple, and the first version of Midjourney was also very simple. But wow, the client was like, this is amazing. This is super cool. They loved it. And that was the Pandora's box for me. I started to jump in, and I just decided I'll spend some of my leisure time sharpening my saw around creating images in Midjourney. And all of these years later, it's come up where I'll share something, and my friend Brent Weiss, who owns an agency out of Toronto, he's the one that runs the AI hackathons for Digital Dealer. And he was like, hey, like, you're doing all this image stuff. Like, I got to have you come and be in the hackathon and be a coach for, dealers who want to participate. And so just having an interest in something that was sharpening a new skill that I had no idea if it was really something that would generate any revenue or how much of it would be a potential business pursuit. I just like learning new things. It makes me feel like I'm still alive. So Midjourney, by the way, you can go to Midjourney Alpha now. You do not have to use Discord. You can go direct into Midjourney, set up your account there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and that interface looks different. It has the same functionality. In fact, has things that you can do there in terms of personalization and building mood boards. And I mean, they're constantly issuing new features and updates, which is super exciting. It's hard to keep up with. But as I started to get into this, Jay, I came across a guy, and I'm more of an abundant versus scarcity kind of person. So that's why I will tell you what I'm about to tell you. I came across a guy by the name of Rory Flynn. And if you look up Rory Flynn on LinkedIn, and if any of you guys are interested in generative AI, images, video, I highly recommend going and following Rory. He is my Yoda. That's the guy who I'm learning more from than anybody else. There are some others that I like, but I would just tell everybody to, if they want to simplify it, look up Rory Flynn, and it's, I think, Flyn, maybe 2 N's. He's easy to find. And he brilliantly started to journal and take all of what he was learning, and there you go. And he started to build these Midjourney mastery courses, make them available through Gumroad. Many of them, like cheat sheets and others, you can go in and just make a donation. Like, what's it worth to have this cheat sheet PDF? And you can say it's $5. Boom, you
nice.
get the download for $5. Some of them you can have for free. The longer courses, when people ask things like, well, how do I start to make photorealistic images? I'm tired of all the digital ones that look like they have 7 fingers and 2 eyes, or like monsters in the background, or all that kind of stuff. He has course after course after course that are Midjourney specific, but he's now, and he really has been, also building in other generative AIs, including video, similar places where you can similar content if you want to get into learning, say, Runway. Midjourney for images, Runway for video. Of course, Sora, everyone kind of knew about Sora because they basically shocked all of us by showing us all of those cool images of the Tokyo walk with city lights and then the woolly mammoth walking through the snow. But they stumbled in actually getting that out to everybody. It didn't come out very quickly. And so there were other video tools that came out faster and were making a lot of progress. So I have stayed mostly with, if people go to my LinkedIn and they'll see sporadically through all my content, you'll see typically on Fridays, you'll see a picture. I posted that Picasso Tundra yesterday because I'm animating it with Runway and video for this Friday's post. But yeah, Midjourney is amazing. And one thing I do have to mention about all of this.
Is this free, Sora, or no?
I've
never used this, but I've heard of it. And then, yeah, this is the AI rabbit hole that
yeah.
I wanted us to go down. And here's what I just want to say is that if you are open to work, start going down AI rabbit holes.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's how you'll get back into the workforce. And
100%.
like I've seen stuff like this. I mean, I don't know anything about this, but if I could spend a month just doing and learning AI, I would.
Oh, I would highly recommend that to people, especially if you're a person right now who you're open to work. Okay, then you should be open to sharpening your AI sword or swords, everything in your arsenal. If I didn't have a B2B content creation agency and clients, and we use podcasts and video series and all that to help people find their voice, find their brand, identify their target audience, make content for them, yada, yada, yada. We run email campaigns, a handful of other things. But if that wasn't my full-time, where most of my time is spent, I'd spend even more time in image generation, but not just that, because we build custom GPTs inside of ChatGPT and a couple of other tools as well. But we have a lot of stuff that we've been working on in ChatGPT for a long time, where that's, in fact, last week when we did the hackathon in Vegas for the Prosper Show, we had 90 minutes to help the teams. I don't know how many teams we had, a bunch, basically build a custom GPT. Like, it will do something. It will do a job for you, a task. And the amazing amount of work that was done by these teams in less than 90 minutes, it would be awesome if you could actually calculate the number of hours that they save, the profitability and efficiencies that are gained, because AI isn't just pretty pictures and video, although that's a big part of it. It's certainly efficiency galore. It's code writing galore. If you have a basic SaaS company today, I would be scared shitless. I literally watched one of the guys that I watch on pretty frequently. He was doing a walkthrough through a new AI that's come out now out of China called Manus, and he, in I don't know, maybe an hour, they literally built a replica of DocuSign, like a working replica of DocuSign. And that's not the first example I've seen of people who are walking through trying to recreate something like a project management tool like Asana. And if you go and get, whatever you want to use, Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, there's a whole bunch of tools out there. But you go and get one of those and you start to have a conversation around, this is something that I've been doing that's repetitive and there's a lot of manual effort. I need ideas about how to automate this. Can we, blah, blah, blah. After a while, if you have things like I did with the tools that I built on Hired Guns, the event and trade show calculator and the CAC calculator, those were literally dialogues, chats that I had back and forth, explaining to ChatGPT how I used these spreadsheets with formulas built into them for years. to help companies understand how much it's costing them to acquire one customer and how long they need to keep that customer before they even see profit, right? And usually it's like, whoa, like we're not even doing that. That, by the way, totally different subject, but that's because most marketing people have no visibility into the financials of the company, which is terrible. But that aside, those types of tools in that conversation I had, I eventually said, could you write code to do all of this that I could put on my website and turn it into a calculator? Yep, no problem. Actually, I said, ask me any questions because my website is built on Squarespace. Don't judge me, people. It's pretty nice for a Squarespace site. But I said, it's on Squarespace. So I knew that it was going to have to go into code injection blocks, the way that the back end of Squarespace works. And it did it exactly so it would function in that environment. I go and test it on a page that's not live to the public. I'm like, holy smokes, I couldn't believe it. And then I was like, but it doesn't look like my brand. So I said, well, could you go to www.hiredgunsagency.com and then could you copy my brand guides, my fonts, everything you find that's like brand identity, and then rewrite the code? Sure, no problem. Just like that, those calculators came to life. And I did a whole long video about it, posted them up on the website, and told people a couple of things. One, I wanted to make a couple of tools that I thought for my friends who are also B2B marketers, especially the ones that are at companies, not typically having a lot of this information at hand, that they'd have tools that they could even ahead of time pre-plan. Like that event ROI calculator, you can put projected numbers in there so that you have an idea of, well, this is how many deals we have to win, not just leads we have to capture. This is how many deals we have to win to get to break even, right? And that is a great way for a marketing leader to demonstrate how much they care about the financials. And if your company is big enough that you have a CFO, in a lot of cases, there are a lot of smaller kind of companies in automotive where the CEO is oftentimes kind of being the CFO as well, or they've outsourced to somebody, an accountant or controller of sorts. But in any case, if the marketing team comes with all of these numbers and you start to have these conversations, you now have a tool that helps you not take a bath, or at least go into it knowing what the goal is. So the whole team, the sales team, the marketing team, everybody that's going to be customer facing at the show, you get to make just better decisions so that your outcome is close to, if not better than what goal you've set for yourself. So that all came through AI. Just giving it all of this dialogue back and forth, spreadsheets with formulas, building that in, sharing, uploading, literally uploading my spreadsheets with the formulas built in, saying this is what I want, even asking it, hey, are there some other things that we could maybe improve upon? And it would say, well, do you want to calculate, the average retention of the client, which in automotive can be, but I added that there. That oftentimes will make people get in the green a little bit better if they really do retain people for a long period of time. But that's where all that came from. That's all AI built. And that's one of, countless examples of tools that could be built that help your business, help other businesses. And like I said, there's literally people that are building code to compete with SaaS companies that are project management tools, that are, things like electronic signature companies like DocuSign, and on and on and on. Because if you thought that ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever LLM large language model you prefer, maybe you use a handful, Claude is popular as well. There's also Versal. I don't know if you've seen Versal, but if you want to all of a sudden not be a coder, but you want AI to make you into somebody that can actually bring things to life and not have the same dependency on coders, I would say that we're still at a place where my preference would be, I want to have somebody who actually is a developer, somebody who understands code, all the modern languages, React, and is very popular right now. I'd want somebody that has that, so that there's somebody who's kind of the human quality control. But that said, oh my goodness, right out of the gate, as long as you have done your due diligence on prompting and the conversation back and forth of what you exactly want, it's game changing. Okay. Like development, Jay, used to be an advantage for people. We had it first. We're 6 months out. We've got 7 miles on the road, 7 years, 2 years, whatever they think they have. And in some cases that would be true. That isn't true anymore. Like if you think you've got a competitive long-term advantage in development, the likelihood that you really do is not strong because of AI, like it or not. So yeah, if
Man.
you're open to work, be open to learning all kinds of stuff in AI.
So
It's all over YouTube.
you said a lot. I want to jump into right now.
Ah.
We're in information free fall. I'm going to grapple hook a mountain here. Okay,
Yeah.
on your ROI calculator. By the way, you can follow along at home. You can go to hiredgunsagency.com. I encourage you to do this because if you've ever thought of going to a trade show, and eventually, if you run a business, you're thinking about it. Go to Tools, Events, Trade Shows. Click on that. Now here we are. I was playing around with this, but I think my numbers were out of whack because I had a heck of an ROI, and that's not right. Let's go to NADA. This was in January. This was the Super Bowl of trade shows. You could have spent, what, 50 grand on your booth? 100 grand?
Oh, if you could spend 250 grand on a 20 by 20 or a 20 by 30. 250.
So let's be reasonable. Let's go 150 grand.
150 grand, and let's say on a booth that size, you're probably taking 10 people minimum, and let's just say it costs, I don't know, what is it, $1,500 a piece, but with meals, it's probably closer to a couple grand per person, flights,
So
hotels.
we could be at 200 grand on people. Are we there? No.
No,
15,
I would
1,500 times 10. You're at 15. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I added too many zeros. 20 grand?
yeah,
25?
that's probably, yeah, sure,
Go 20 grand. All right.
easy.
And then swag and all that stuff. What am I? Well, is this booth expense? No, because 150, that was just for the space, right?
That's all in on your booth cost. I tell people just to simplify that. So that's your electrical, your internet, your all that stuff. That's why that number jumps. I didn't want people to see so many fields that they were like, ugh. So I just like everything relative to your booth, the space, the booth itself. Did you rent it? Did you buy it? Power, electricity, blah, blah, blah. Carpet, are they coming by to vacuum up your shit? All that. Like
what are we spending on? Is this swag, right?
Yeah.
Swag and sales, 10 grand? What is that?
It depends on the company, but somebody who's spending $150,000 alone on their booth is probably spending at least $5 grand, maybe 7,500.
Okay.
Because there are so many people that are doing like custom socks, custom shoes, custom, like which is, it's cute for the company, but
Oh, those socks. Yeah, no, I'm done with. I'm good on socks. I got like way too many.
I have every single pair of socks that Cox Automotive
and I thought it would be cool, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do with these socks. Hey kids, you guys want any socks? All right, miscellaneous costs.
Yep. So this is the kind of thing
right now. I just hurt somebody's feelings.
Yep. Well, probably, but okay. So miscellaneous costs are you're there and somebody forgot that you needed 500 more copies of the postcard or the one sheeters or whatever. So yeah, $1,000 in there. Okay. Let's say this is leads captured is you're scanning badges. And the way that's done for most companies is relentless. Scan every single person that comes by your booth. You do not care. I mean, you do care if they're a dealer, but you want the scans.
Get those KPIs up. Yeah.
Somebody is evaluated based on did you scan every single person that came by the booth, and then you separate the wheat from the chaff later. So yeah, let's just say
then at NADA 100, 200, 300. I don't know. What is it?
Let's say it's 300. Let's say you scanned 300 people.
Okay.
This is also a guess because what do you sell, right? And for example,
let's say I demo. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's all good. It's like no problem. If you sell like websites or digital marketing services, there are so many guardrails on who you can actually sell to and what's in program and what's not. So your total addressable market is not as big as you think it is. So it is absolutely possible for you to scan 300 people and get
10
deals, maybe 10.
Right, I agree.
And let's
maybe 10. I agree with you.
And for, I guess, just being extra fair, let's just say that the window is left open 90 days after the show for the sales team to get those leads closed.
You're going to need it.
And you still, you're going to need it. So it's one of the lowest intent places for you to capture a lead, right? It's similar to like the state fair. Like, especially if you've
Well, you
done
just
nothing.
half the people are there for a high school reunion, right?
Yes, and
They're
not
not
only
there to
that,
be
though,
sold. Yeah.
and of course, if it's one of the bigger shows like NEDA, it's like all the parties, and I mean, I can't tell you how many awesome bands I've seen for free. How much do you think that costs? We had the Black Crows. What?
Oh my God!
Like,
Totally.
it's like, it's mind numbing. But so let's just say it's left open for 90 days. Okay, great, and they get those deals closed. If
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to add. I don't think you're going to close 10 deals. I don't think so.
yeah, in most cases, this is where people don't tell the truth, Jay.
Yeah.
They don't tell the truth on how many deals actually were won at that time. Now, if all you were doing is trying to build up your brand, then maybe that doesn't matter. You're going to write this ginormous check because nobody knows who you are. Okay,
Yep.
if you've got that, hopefully your investors, if you've got investment cash behind you, realize that, hey, part of the dollars that we had to come back and ask for a Series B is going to go to about, $400,000 to get nothing. Just build the brand. Yikes. This is where I tell people, do you know that you could spend like a tenth of that with me?
Do
And I'd
online market. Exactly.
Like-
Exactly. But here, help me out before we go there. I want to go there. Okay. What would be an average monthly recurring revenue for what we're selling in this scenario?
let's
$3,000 a month?
let's I mean, if you're selling a bit like a DMS system, like that's a totally different. Like if you're selling a big CRM, I'd say let's call it $1,500.
Okay. Now this is per lead. Is that how this works, or is this
Correct.
total average
That's
monthly per customer?
Yeah, per those
1,500.
10
Okay.
one deals. Yeah.
And we're assuming we keep a customer. What is normal? 6 months? A year?
There are so many month-to-month contracts now that a lot of people, what they
Right.
put in here is 12 months. But if you actually
That's
go, and
not
especially if
real.
marketing people use this,
We're gonna go 6.
they
I want
they
a
don't-
real number. I
Yeah.
want to see how much money we lost. Are you guys ready? Right? Because I believe trade shows are money. I just really. I'm not here to crash the parade. I just believe that trade shows are money losers. I don't think that's why companies go to trade shows.
You just got to know why you're going, right?
There we go. There we go. See, to me, that sounds real.
Yeah.
You lost 86 grand to grow your brand. 86 grand to grow your brand. That's
needed
real.
10
That's
more.
real.
Yeah, you needed 10 more deals to break even. And the reason
break
why
even,
it's not so much I don't think it's at first when I was building this and I was having
gee.
conversations with
Oh,
people.
I like that. That's neat. It does show that.
Yeah.
I needed. Yeah, nice. That's really
Marketing folks and friends didn't they were very apprehensive because of the truth telling that happens here. But again, it's a really good projection tool. It's a really good way to actually understand the financials and have a very intelligent conversation about why you're going to go. Like, should you be going to the event or should you not be going to the event? What is your reason for doing so? A brand that is red hot in the market, Jay, like everyone's starting, and you've been for all year long leading up to NADA, everyone knows who you are. You're all over LinkedIn. They see you everywhere where they hang out on social, and people are talking about it. They're talking about you in their 20 groups. They're talking about you every single place that they could consume information about hot companies. You should be at one of these shows because the likelihood that you're going to reap a harvest is much better when people are already familiar, and that may be the best place to engage them. The problem is most of these companies have done nothing to do that. And you know what they end up doing? They write checks to giant media companies to create content for them at these very shows.
I was just gonna say you beat me to it. Wait a minute. Instead of putting less money into a legit automotive media source online, we're going to spend 10 times that to go to the show to pay a third-party media company
Yes.
to make a show there.
Yes.
Why?
Because they've never thought differently. They all think the same. And especially if somebody, this is, by the way, this trend is not new in automotive. This has happened year over year, like 5 or 10 years. There's a turnover of, who's kind of popular, who's, kind of making content, doing these things. And so people end up believing that if their logo is in the middle of the UFC octagon, all of a sudden even non-beer drinkers are going to start popping cans of Bud Light. No, they're not. If they're a wine drinker, or if they like Jack Daniels, or if they just don't drink alcohol, so is that a branding component? Sure, you could say that's brand marketing, reinforcing, you're keeping your name out there for your loyal folks. But in automotive, we have some brands now that's their main priority is like, we need to build up our brand because people are attracted to it, and then we can monetize the interest in our brand. But then what's the value? What do those, if you're a media company essentially, then what's the value of these things? You could go back to that trade show calculator and add 20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand. There's a whole bunch of different sponsorship packages by a whole bunch of different people who will make content that you could have made yourself for less than half the cost. Now, you could say, well, they don't have the same cameras, they don't have the same quality and polish. That's true, but guess what? Your audience doesn't give a shit about that being super polished quality. They don't care. What they care about is it authentic, and what you say actually resonates with the things I'm going through as a dealer or as your potential customer. That's what matters. And so as long as you're not a liar and you literally just put insights out there and content, just take your own, like, you could go on Amazon and buy a couple of clip-on microphones, right? Buy a couple of cheap $40 lights, put them in your own booth, and by the way, strategically come up with a plan of what you're going to talk about so the back and forth captures great stuff. And then you won't have to worry about somebody that doesn't really know what you do. They're not an expert in your business, but they're so popular that you'll listen to them talk to you for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And all of these people that I'm talking about, by the way, they're not bad people. They're like, hey, they're going out and making lots of money and building a business. But if you go and look at how events continue to grow, there are very few events that have repeat sponsors, right? Especially when they're new, because it takes time to deliver value to an audience when you have to say, well, you don't really want to disclose how many dealers actually attend, right? Like, if you don't know, it's like, well, we have typically 100, 200 dealers show up. Okay. Well, are they part of big public groups? Are they part of big private groups? What's the makeup of that? Because even that matters. If I'm going to go and spend a gob of money in sponsorship in a big event, and the dealers that are there are actually 50% of them I couldn't even sell to in the first place, that's the stuff that your sales and marketing teams have to be aligned on so that they protect their interests. Because guess what? All of that goes on, and you know what's still happening? Hardcore, old school, outbound tactics. We're gating all of our content to capture leads, right? We're forcing people to engage with us that don't care about us, so they will download the ebook that they never read, right? You have tons of your competitors that go and download that content because they want to know if you're saying anything that isn't just garbage, right? So you have that going on. And then you have a sales team that's expected to pull off miracles month after month after month, quite similar to the dealers themselves. And now all of a sudden, every company, or many companies, are operating on a razor's edge, just like a dealership, every 30 days. Oh my goodness, month end's coming. And what happens at month end? Don't talk to the dealers. Don't call the dealers. Like, they're like that. You just hands off. And also first week. So what? We're taking 2 weeks-ish or 10 business days out, or let's just call it 8 business days of hands off the dealer or hands off the company. Like, how insane is that? By the way, it's super expensive to pay all those people, Jay. Those people are getting paid to basically do no business or 1 deal a month. Like, what? It's insane. There's so much insanity.
You know what's so?
Sorry, monologuing.
No,
like crazy.
I have several things I'm trying to say at once. You know, one of the things I think that I see at the show is there's this concern that, well, if we just talk about what we know, it's not exciting enough, and we've got to be exciting. Right. So now you get in this LinkedIn Disney bullshit. Like, you're not saying anything because you're trying to be so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Right. Cybersecurity is so exciting.
By the way, I challenge you, dig into your team and ask them to talk. I don't want to hear the same executive month after month after month. They're just going to give me the hype and the headlines. I looked at, okay, now I'm really getting in trouble. But I looked at them. I'm not naming any names, but I'm seeing this headline group of this upcoming trade event, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to listen to hardly any of those people talk, because we're not going to get any information. We're only going to get Disneyland. It is total nonsense. In fact, anybody sitting in that room is scrolling on their phone. Well, actually, they're not scrolling dynamically because their boss will see them. They're going to be doing the, that'll be the new thing. How small can you scroll so your boss doesn't know? Like, but you can't sit through that.
Yeah, no. And there's so much of it, right? There's so much of it. That's, unfortunately, it's just continued to grow. And when one...
That's why I'm so wound up. It's growing.
When
like
one
an
goes away,
amoeba.
another one takes its place.
Oh my God, there's more trade shows and more useless sessions than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
We are making... Yeah.
Imagine
go ahead.
sitting through sessions when you desperately need to know if you're actually getting good value from your digital marketing vendor that handles all of your Google spend, all of your social spend, and you need somebody who can articulate really what's going on.
Not to mention, on the expo floor, at the same time, they're dying over there because people have run to the bar. Because this blows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And some of them, once they've run to the bar, they come back onto the floor. Again.
Right, and now they're ready for their demo.
Making a great impression.
And they ain't buying jack. Because they're not going to remember. Now, okay, run to the bar is a little extreme. We know that a good chunk of people that go to trade shows, they don't go to the sessions and they don't go to the expo. They just have meetings because this is where they can see the maximum number of clients at a time.
Yeah.
And in this way, it has nothing to do with the event.
Yeah.
It's just somewhere to have maximum exposure to clients.
And if the event is going to be loaded with the kind of people you want to talk to, you should absolutely send your smartest, most experienced, and social butterflies that are great in conversation with people, that you would have all of these you don't even have to, I don't know if you do this now when you're meeting people in person with LinkedIn, but if they're on LinkedIn, you can just go and use the barcode scanner and link. I just had this happen a bunch of times last week in Vegas where people were like, no, I don't need a business card. Let's just connect on LinkedIn. So you just open the search bar, hit the barcode and either scan their code or they scan your code and boom, you're connected. It's so easy to actually connect with people. And if you're a good conversationalist and you know your company's product and services well, then you need to think very, very strategically about, well, which rooms am I going to go and listen to what's going on? Because if there's dealers that might go in and listen to something, well, I'm just going to go and, pick up some of the other fish that might fall out of that net and just have conversations with people. And unfortunately, we live in an era now where there aren't as many people who have never met a stranger in their life and, quiet, and they're more reserved. But if you're trying to grow a business, trying to grow a brand, and you're in sales and marketing, and you're an introvert, you probably should get into a different department.
So, all right, we're going to end this show almost soon because I'm really proud of the folks that are still with us, and we're an hour in, and I had no idea we would go this long. And I know, isn't that crazy?
Thanks to everybody for staying.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. AI, open to work, do those things. Meaning,
absolutely.
Dive into more AI. Just keep doing it. But what I want to do, this is the bonus segment. This is going to be hard. This is going to be tough. But we're going to do this. We've talked a little bit about podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to set it up game show wise. Like, I'd say, dude's in charge. And you'd say, then that's as far as I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think I'm seeing is there's a new layer of podcasts. You finish the sentence. What are you seeing? What's happening with podcasts?
I think a lot. I don't know if they're well-meaning. I can't speak for them in that regard. A handful of the people that are podcasting in automotive and have been for years I've talked to and are very nice people. But there's a difference between building your brand, and all of them do that, and then seeking sponsorship or people to write you a check to basically be on their podcast, versus in a lot of cases, you could have done this on your own, or that's essentially what Hired Guns Agency is. We want you to institute this yourself, so we'll make that easy for you. Because most people are like, we don't even know where to start. We don't know what cameras, we don't know what platform. Like, well, we take care of all that for you. Could you just show up for an hour a month and we already know exactly what you're going to talk about? Because this is what you love to talk about nonstop. Yeah, I could do that. Okay. Well, guess what? We're going to have awesome episodes, and we're going to cut that up into short form content. We're going to write all kinds of social copy for you and actual articles based on what you said. That's very different than all of the people who are podcasting in automotive, building their own brands so that they reach a level that other companies would say, well, they must be like experts in all these areas, and so it would be a good thing for our brand and we'll get some exposure. Sadly, that isn't what happens in any of those cases. And so you see, if you pay attention to all of them, they churn through a few companies, in their cycle, because that's what they do. And as soon as those companies actually kind of look at, did our brand grow? They're all going to come back to just like dealers. Did we get any leads from being on these podcasts? Probably not.
Exactly.
Right?
Did I get any leads?
It's like, that's not the point.
But you didn't
right.
build any new content that means anything.
Right. And so the companies themselves have to take it into their own hands, and they have to care enough about their message, their brand, their identity, who they are, why they matter in the marketplace. And if they can't do that, they probably don't have a product or service that anybody really wants. They probably don't solve a big problem. But if they do, then you have to start that and never stop. It needs to be the first thing that you build into the foundation of your marketing strategy is content creation, not more sales material, literally elevating people's knowledge about why you're an expert and why what you do matters to you and why you're doing that for dealers. It's why we end up, I was listening to a podcast today and somebody was talking about Wistia. Wistia has been a video platform out there for a long, long time. And these guys were talking about how, you know what, I referred Wistia to countless people who signed up for Wistia before I even started using it myself, because I was consuming their content over and over and over and over. All of us can think of examples like that, but only for companies who have been educating their audience with the only expectation of, we want them to know who we are because we're in a category that we can't afford to be number 3 in. We have to be number 1, and we have to play the 95-5 rule. 95% of the market isn't buying your shit today. They're not, but they will in the future. They likely will need it in the future. And so what are you doing to educate them and make yourself relevant and needed by them today in your content strategy? Instead, everyone loads up the 5% trade shows, Google paid, social paid, LinkedIn paid, giant email nurture campaigns, blah, 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 blah. And they're spending ungodly amounts of money to do what? The same thing that dealers do. We need leads, we need leads, we need leads, we need leads. And when you start to calculate how many leads you have to harvest for every one of them that becomes a customer long enough for you to make your money back on them, all of a sudden a whole lot of people are going to get fired. That's part of the message I'm trying to help companies understand, that it's not that these other podcasts are bad, right? And if you can be on them for free and that's what they do, then go do it. Make sure you get a copy of it so that you could chop it up and use it if there's some good content for yourself. It's not about, I'm on your podcast right now. You reached out and I was like, that could be fun, and why you reached out and what got your attention made me think, this is time well spent. But I wouldn't say yes to every single person, especially if I knew that most of what they do is dependent on them having to pretend like they're experts in everything in automotive, because that's when you get into a territory of like, no, let the company themselves.
Don't get me started.
Right.
This is where we're now entering. This is where I get in the danger zone. Some of the freaking podcasts that are held out as, I don't know, good or whatever, are awful. I mean, I'm dying.
Yes.
And we've been talking for an hour. And it's because there's no plastic shield or whatever.
Right. I mean,
but I've seen guys, they can't go 5 minutes and they're looking at each other like, it's crazy how bad it is.
The companies themselves have to be the ones that demonstrate their thought leadership and their subject matter expertise. I am so tired of hearing guys in automotive say how they worked every job in the dealership. Do you know what? If you worked as a general manager and you were good, it was not easy for you to leave that job. You either left because it destroyed your marriage, you became an alcoholic, you got an addiction problem or something like that. Not making fun of that it's hard because you're there so often and you take all of the stress upon yourself. But if you're a good general manager, oftentimes that's the pathway to, I'm going to own a little piece. Think about Matt Bowers. Matt Bowers, I think he owns 6 or 7 or 8 dealerships now down in Louisiana and that area of the country. His story is amazing because he started at the very bottom, right? There's no glitzy story about, I did all this stuff. I'm going to lord over you with my education or whatever. No, his education is knowing an industry, a retail industry, how to take care of people, how to take care of his own people, how to take care of customers. And he's been wildly successful, oftentimes despite challenges in the market. That guy can tell us that he's worked every single job in a dealership and he's kicked ass at it. But I'm so sick of people that you didn't kick ass at any job in the dealership and that's why you do what you do now. You know what? I sold cars for a couple of years, many years ago. I hardly ever talk about it other than telling my Hot Wheels story, which I want to say to this audience in case there are people that know dealers or have never heard me tell that story. I've told it a million times. It used to be how I started every presentation at any of these events, whether I was speaking at Digital Dealer or NADA, I spoke at all of them. And that is, while I worked at Reynolds & Reynolds, in the early days, had dealers say, have you ever sold a car in your life? To stop my conversation about talking all things internet. And I'd be like, yeah, no, I haven't sold a car in my life. I've been a service writer, had never sold cars. And it was difficult for me to overcome that objection until I realized I'm going to go and sell cars nights and weekends. And I couldn't tell Reynolds because you couldn't work 2 jobs. So I sold cars nights and weekends for a couple of years. And guess who comes to the dealership with their parents in the evening and on weekends? Their kids. So I started to buy Hot Wheels at Walmart and Target, right? Lock them up in my desk. And as soon as I saw somebody walk in the dealership with their kid, no one else wanted to deal with that, right? Yeah, here's a coloring book or whatever. I went up to them with a Hot Wheel and said, I don't know if your mom and dad are getting a new car tonight, but you are. My name's Mr. Shaun. If your parents buy a new car, then that's great, but you're getting one. And all of a sudden, sales tension goes down. And then the next thing I would say is, there's a whole bunch of salespeople in this dealership that will treat you exactly the way you don't want to be treated and that you're afraid of. I'm not one of them. I have another job. I do this because I'm trying to help you have a good experience. And I might need even help from some of my other sales guys. But if you want this experience, I'm going to do everything I can to make you happy. And but the fact that I went and made friends with their kid and cared about their kid, boom, money. It's one of the best things I ever did on retail. But I rarely talk to people about, oh yeah, I did all these different roles in the dealership. One, because I didn't. I worked a couple different roles in the dealership, but nobody cares. It was so long ago. And I never was 100 car sales guy. I never had the number where I could go brag about it. And that's just like somebody who makes it to the NFL. The real superstars in automotive, whether you're a salesperson or you were a GM or you became a dealer principal, you owned some stores, whatever, they have the receipts to prove how awesome they are. So when I hear other people who are literally making money off of especially susceptible companies that are not going to ask them the tough questions, that boils my blood a little bit. It just does. It's like if you pretend that you're an expert in all these things that you're not, and you enrich yourself off of it, at some point in time, you might just get exposed and you might not like it. Even if you're the nicest person in the world, all of a sudden people would be like, that doesn't seem like a nice person at all.
Dude, that is a great story. But what about all the bodybuilding and working out? Don't you have to be a bodybuilder to sell a lot of cars in automotive today?
I think so. Yes.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
And if you wear socks, it's over. Or am I right? I can't believe I just said that. Okay, yeah. I've had that joke saved for probably 5 years. Seriously, yeah. I had somebody I was aligned with, used to agree with, don't understand anymore. But we both have the inside joke of about the socks. And I haven't seen it lately, so it's probably safe. But like, there is an army of bodybuilder dealer trainers.
Yeah.
And like, that's in automotive Disney today. That's amazing. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And nothing wrong with taking care of your health. Like, hey, that's great.
I love it. It's great. Yeah.
But
I'm jealous. Sure.
It comes with, I think, kind of what you're, cracking open a little bit is it comes with a level of, some people would just say that's like supreme alpha confidence. It also to other people comes across as arrogance. And a lot of those people, I'll just tell you it in this manner. If you've never done any kind of personality profile, Myers-Briggs, DISC, even the simplified kind of animal, the lion, the beaver, the golden retriever, and the otter. If you've never done that in a team environment, especially even for yourself, and you don't know all of those attributes of who you really are, you're going to devour, and you just happen to be very dominant, like I'm at high D, or I'm very high like lion tendencies. You're going to tear apart all kinds of people and destroy all kinds of relationships because you don't care when you should care, right? People are going to leave. Some of the talent that you wish that never left you will leave you because to them, they just wanted to be respected. They wanted to be recognized. They wanted to be appreciated. But because they didn't, see the value of like, well, I got to work out all the time, or I got to unbutton my shirt more, I got to whatever it is, like nothing's black and white. There is no perfect mold for these things. And if you don't understand the differences in people, you'll completely miss out on most of the people that work in any organization relate more to that golden retriever. They're loyal. They will work hard. They don't want to rock the boat too much. That's oftentimes the large makeup of people in a business. And they oftentimes are the ones that get treated the worst because the people in management and leadership have never, ever gone through any training to help them understand that there are better ways to manage people. There are better ways to lead people. And everyone will read John Maxwell book or whoever their favorite, they listen to Gary Vaynerchuk or they listen to Tony Robbins, whoever it is. And some of these guys say positive, that's not that they don't say positive things, but when you get in that environment and you actually don't have any teaching behind it, you will be in this position which concerns me. And that is, I think good managers actually have more to do with making the world a better place than they get credit for. But if they're not well trained, then they end up being that manager that yells at people, shouts at people. You're in their face, constantly challenging them, like you won't change if you're not challenged, and like all this kind of stuff. And the point behind this is, if you do that, let's just say you have a very hardworking single mom, right? She's loyal, right? She always gets her stuff done. Oftentimes it's ahead of time, but she does one thing wrong or whatever, and she gets berated, or she listens to you berate everyone else around her. And then she takes that home to her child and has all of that stress to deal with because you're a shitty manager. Contrast that with, I'm a manager who really knows the differences of my people. I care about them. I want to know how things are going, even though it's not my default to say, how was your weekend? Or, hey, how are things going with your daughter? Or making time for that. And maybe more importantly, making time to tell somebody, man, I just appreciate the quality of work you do. Like, it's amazing. And if you can do that in public around more people, recognizing and praising people when their peers get to hear it, those people develop a sense of loyalty. And if you have those skills, if you've been taught those skills, being a manager of people is far more important than most people give it credit for. So these people that you're giving examples of, they don't resonate with me because I can just see how that they are probably poisoning more people than they are actually helping.
That's what I think. So here I'm going to go a bit further. Now we're really in marketing therapy, because the leadership gig, I rarely can listen to somebody talk to me about leadership. Mm-hmm. It is one of those things. To me, it's like driving past a church. Man, I am into the man upstairs, but it is hard to get me to sit down in your church and listen to you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. So when, like, I keep seeing this guy show up on my scroll. He's holding a book and he looks like he's standing at a bus stop and it's all about leadership. I'm like, God, is anybody buying that?
Obviously, some people are. I mean,
I don't
obviously
know. I'm going to go back to the ROI calculator. I don't think so. I think you're in the red, and for whatever reason, you're just hooked on this leadership gig. But he's not the only one.
Yeah.
You go to any traditional automotive media right now, and there's somebody up there pushing leadership, and I'm like, are people this like new to life?
I'll tell you the one. I think the one redeeming factor is that because there's so much of this, because it's so prolific, the guys that are really, really good, they are really, really good. They shine like diamonds among coal. They just do. There are a couple of them there, a couple of guys that I know. That contrasting style to what you're explaining, they have it, and people love it, and they challenge people in the best ways to become the best versions of themselves. But they also see things on both that professional and personal side of a person to help them grow whole, right? Like everything that might be going on. And most of the other people that are like, like the ones you're talking about, this is a means to an end, and that end is how much money they can make from you. I mean, I won't even say the names because somebody will really take me to task on it, but there are people that spend a lot of money in support of a system that makes them feel like they are gonna do something that they're never gonna do. They don't realize that there are other paths, but because somebody else keeps telling them and showing them, like, oh, look, I'm awesome. You can be this. You can be this. You can be this. It's like, it's worse than televangelism.
I think it's the same thing as all the likes and the bosses watching. That's really what I think is going on. All right, here, I want to finish this. I want to point out, we're talking about podcasts and we're talking about leadership and all this great stuff. Okay, I noticed something that really blew my mind. I don't know how many people saw it, but I saw a podcaster that's very good at creating the veneer. It's kind of the vaudeville of automotive, the Disney, and just making it look like it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And they got, you were talking about sponsorship, because that is the part of that is the big problem, is you need sponsorship.
Yeah. And
so they got somehow the green light, the verbal green light, we're going to do something. So they broadcasted, oh man, there's going to be this new series. It's going to be amazing and all this stuff. And the next day or two later, and it was right around NADA, some other leadership podcaster jumps right in front of line and starts doing shows with that new sponsor. And I never saw the advertised series by the original podcaster. Mm-hmm. And so where we are, so not only are we in this automotive, Disney, LinkedIn, plastic, fake world, but the Twitterness of the duality is just a hand clap away from stabbing your ass in the back. Yes. And taking the spoils. That's what really concerns me about the super plastic, is that you could get stabbed in the back even faster now.
Oh yeah, I've had it happen.
Right? Me too. Camera one, I've been completely stabbed in the back on my own channel.
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody knows it. There are people that are not here. They either know it or will find out. The people that are here know absolutely what I'm talking about. Except some folks that are new, thank you so much. Don't worry that I was stabbed in the back. Just watch some of my old shows. But, I mean, it's crazy what's going on.
It is.
I saw that. I was so freaked out by it because the person that got stabbed in the back, the person that stabbed him didn't surprise me. The sponsor I think just got caught in the middle of, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But the person that got stabbed in the back, I think will be tougher for it and works like hell to build up their brand. It to be continued. I don't think anybody will notice. It's just that that person had to really suck it up and just keep riding the wave. But I think I see them toughening up a little bit, and that's really what it comes down to. Man, you got to be tough to still be in media and automotive today.
Yeah. And there's a lot of it that you need to take control yourself at the company. Like figure out how you can own all of that. It doesn't mean you have to do all of it internal. You can outsource some of the specialty stuff, but then you end up having your own brand. You have your, I mean, we do podcasts for people that have just as many views as these people who charge people to be on their podcasts. So, and I tell companies all the time, when you're making content like that, it turns into short form video, long form video. It spawns all kinds of your other advertising. But when people are consuming the content where they're like, man, I just love what Jay says, like he's got good stuff, or Shaun's putting all this good content out there. And then you do some paid media. Oh my goodness. It actually helps you when you start making paid investments, when you've actually done something to build your brand so that you have recognition in the market in the first place. But when you start to buy your way into all of it, it's expensive. It never works out, and you end up having to tell yourself a lot of lies in the C-suite before you actually start cutting people and saying we got to do it different. So you can't simply say we're thinking different. You got to do it different.
I think that people like to talk about the future and predictions, and I'm just going to say this. You know, I think you watch the views and the clicks and the subs and all that, you know, to some degree. I really feel like everyone is seeing their numbers drop as far as like views. I'll just say this. There are two guys that are well known for their positivity in automotive. And what's cool is what I just said could be several different podcasts. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay. But these two guys that I'm thinking of, I have seen their numbers go way down. And I wonder what they're thinking and what their big dollar sponsor is thinking. And I wonder, what does their runway look like? I know what mine looks like, and yeah, I'm adapting and pivoting too. But I wonder, what does it mean for that kind of podcast?
I think it says something about style versus substance. And it's usually only a matter of time before people see the difference. In the beginning, the style, the sizzle on the steak is what people are like, man, it's awesome. Like, let's go. But then over time, you came for substance. And if the presentation that brought you to that was awesome, even better, like that's great. I love good production quality and people that are humorous and they're fun. Excuse me. I love people that are totally willing to be themselves. Even if that's a little controversial, I like that because it feels like somebody's genuine and authentic, and that's how you connect with people. But if you have all those things going for you, or you're just super high energy and lots of style and it's cool and it's all, if the substance doesn't come through somewhat soon, then to me, that's, your days are numbered. You will, and it may mean that you could be out there for years churning through brand new people that still believe it. But at a certain point in time, there will be enough people talking to each other saying, man, we just didn't really get the value. We're really hoping that this would happen. And it didn't. And I think that's very difficult when you're building a media brand. When you're building up a media brand, of course you want to go and provide value to people that would sponsor the things that you want to do because you believe it. I believe that at least most of these people that are doing things, that there is at least part of them that thinks that they are doing things that are virtuous and helpful to dealers. And then I think there's also the part of it, just like any company, is we're still in business to make money, right? So if it's like, well, does it make money? Yes. Does it have a lot of substance? No, but people are buying the style. Are they going to stop that? No, you're going to not stop that. Oftentimes until it's maybe too late. And if you go too hard in identifying your own brand as sizzle, style, fun, whatever it is, and actually there isn't a substantial layer of substance, you can't recover from it. Once the day comes where people realize it's nothing, it's empty, right? I open the door and it's like, man, it's disappointment. So it might take some time for that to catch up with, companies, people like that. But when it does, you've burnt your opportunity. You may have spent 20 years building a reputation and it took you two to absolutely kill it. Or sometimes people build a great reputation in a great company. It doesn't even take them 2 years. They make one wrong move at a trade show. Everybody knows what that move is. And now you are absolutely dead to the industry. That's happened as well. So,
but you can, I'm getting inspired, but you can recover. I'm assuming, I'm just throwing this out there because I'm thinking of these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they mix it up. Maybe one of them instead of both of them, or one of them and somebody else. And I actually look for a second to see if maybe, oh my God, is there some substance today? Like, so my point is, you get that second look. Okay, there's something different, right? Like you put all the hats away. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I love hats.
Right?
I wear a lot of hats. Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's okay. Then it could be anybody. Everybody's got hats. But I mean, my point is, I think we'll kind of double take. Like, okay, let's go to a totally different. We're outside the industry. There's this megala Goliath place with this terrible show. But if I see something different, I'll look for a second to see, have they switched it up? My point is, it's never over. If it is over, try to switch it up. But deliver on the switch up.
Yes. If you build a large brand, oftentimes that brand is going to have different components within it that speaks to your audience, that makes content to connect with, educate, provide insights, maybe even entertain, hopefully, your audience, to make them like you, to make them know you, to make them feel like they have met you before they even have met you. But if somebody doesn't really want to consume, let's say somebody doesn't want to consume the long form video of this podcast. They don't want to watch the whole thing. But would they like a couple of clips that had maybe a little spiciness to it and we're kind of getting into some stuff that they're like really turns their cranks? Yeah, probably. But if they continue to look for your content, and let's just say you do a newsletter, let's just say you're building a community and people are joining that community and talking to each other, all of that needs to have the same focus of how do we deliver substance and value in each of these channels underneath a giant brand, right? NADA has that, right? Driving Sales had that. They had a media company. What's that?
NADA?
And yes, right? They've got 20 groups. They've got newsletters. They do a podcast. They do all these different things.
NADA does a podcast?
Yes. Don't ask me if it's great.
I don't. Wow. We're in our final minutes here. I don't actually. I'm not a big fan of NADA.
Yeah,
I don't think it's. Man, I think it's just a money funnel for lobbyists to change laws and do whatever they want. I don't think they're in it for the people. They're not.
Certainly.
Allegedly. Am I wrong?
No, but it's
been 100 years. Who cares?
I think
it's a money grab.
It's so big. I think it's two sides of a coin, or a double-edged sword. There is the kind of what you talk about, which the industry is so big that in this day and age, for many years, if you want to have any advocacy, you're going to have something like that, whether we like it or not. And I don't particularly like it, but I don't like it for any industry. Whether it's big pharma or, like...
Well, that's the funny thing.
I don't like any
Automotive is big pharma.
Yes. But
it's
the other side of that is where some of the things they do around education are helpful to dealers. Like I know dealers that have participated or are in 20 groups, especially when
I'm not going to say the education's all bad. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, especially when they started doing internet 20 groups. There were a lot of dealers because they sought out really sharp dealers who were progressive to build that. The people that they built Internet 20 groups with were extremely smart, really capable, very focused on the dealer. And so that part I like. So for me, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, nah, it's like, I don't know. It's like my grandfather used to say, you can't pick up a piece of shit by the clean end. It's kind of difficult. So it's like, not that they're a piece of shit, but it's complicated. It's complicated.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
so
amazing.
there are definitely things that I like, and there are things that I don't care for. But what do you
see? And I, you know what? You know, it'd be great. You know what I think would really help Big Pharma Automotive? I might use that for another few minutes. Is
Big Automotive.
If we all sat down, they set up a big circle of metal chairs at NADA. And when you walk in, you think it's going to be balloons and those drummers on stilts and all the craziness. And instead, it's a big ring of metal chairs. And you go, get your donut, get your water, go sit down on a metal chair. And you know what we're going to do today? Well, we apologize. What we're going to do is we're going to pass the microphone around. We want everyone to say what you don't like about us right now. And this would be, right, wouldn't that be an amazing, it's never going to fucking happen, but wouldn't that be an amazing thing that would actually help the LinkedIn Disney automotive that we're seeing today?
It absolutely would. I mean,
it would. It's what we need.
That type of transparency and just being authentic is oftentimes the first step towards trust, right? And all of these businesses, whether it's NADA or organizations, NADA, all these companies serving dealers, the dealers themselves, they're all trying to make money. They're all trying to figure these things out, and it's not always easy. It's every day that goes by, I'm like, man, what's black and white anymore? Nothing. Every time I'm like, hey, this is a great thing. It seems like it's going in the right direction. I'm like, nope. Like, I'm just going to take all the black pills in the world because just nothing else matters. I was fighting myself to be like, what's the point? And that very much happens in automotive because oftentimes people that are winning shouldn't be winning. I mean, they're literally leading.
That is correct.
They're
the
leading.
Terminator wins. I said that on a show. There's an organization that I helped spread a message about a problem. And what happened is the company that was the biggest part of the problem, I guess, threw a bunch of money at them. The thank you letter is broadcast. Woohoo!
Yep.
And I'm just like, well, I guess I'll just wait until that party ends. And then the drunk people wake up off the floor and go, with their hangovers, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Yeah, I'll be here for the apology. I'll be here. Yeah, 'cause that's fucked up, man. You guys, what do you do? Wow. Yeah. Or you know what I look for when it comes to media is the companies that they do the super happy, super terrible, uncomfortable content.
Yep.
And then they just stop.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it was terrible.
Right. Yep.
And then they wind up the toy a few months later and try some other weird version.
Yeah. I have I don't think this video is published yet, but from a conversation where I talk about Grand Slam content or unicorn shots, people just expect, hey, we're gonna just poof. The rainbow dust goes everywhere. 1 million people saw this. We got all this engagement. It brought us tons of leads. So many we didn't know what to do with. Yeah, that almost never happens. But when you bet that way, when you have people that don't understand the finances of the company, they will make these massively ridiculous campaigns, put so much behind it to have a unicorn shot without ever realizing what happens if we lose on this. Because it's catastrophic, right? You only get to do so many of those. And I always tell people, if you're not doing anything that's actually educating your audience, giving them insights, helping them get to know you, right? That 95-5 rule, 95% of your total addressable market isn't buying today, but they will be in the future. And if you're not in the top of the category, so Jay's the guy. Like, he's like the first person that comes to my mind. Because what? Because you were putting content out there in all the places where they hang out. Companies still struggle to do that. They need help with it. I get that.
I know. But and as we move into AI, it's going to just continue. And that is that. Well, advertising and marketing and content, we can just pretend and make it'll be awesome. And that's really where we're at, is that, well, we can just pretend. We're just gonna listen. You shut right, because the cameras are off, right? Okay, you shut up, go sit over there. You shut up, sit over there. Smile, action, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not.
Or at least it's okay for. We got 60 seconds. That looked pretty good for 60 seconds. We'll just release that.
Right.
But there will be no sequel.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that.
So
like,
sell everything and get. We're never doing this again. Just
That's
don't
right.
tell anybody. Sign this. Now shut up and get out.
That's right. Thank you very much.
I think that's really going to continue. Is that off camera, we're Twitter. When the cameras are rolling, we're LinkedIn.
Yep.
And
true.
in a few minutes, we're going to go to AI and just let everybody in marketing go.
Except for
it'll
the
be
people,
great. It's going to be amazing.
Except for the people that know how to use it.
And then but my nephew, he talks about AI. We got kids in high school. We'll let them do it. They have the same last name we do. By the way, that brings me to another thing. I don't think I'm going to release a show called Automotive Nepotism, but I want to.
Yeah.
Because it really has become, it's a total game now. If you're related to the owner, or you have some kind of, it's like the mafia.
Yeah.
That's how automotive works. But we're not going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
We're going to set up these classes and stuff, like you can actually get somewhere if you're not related, but we're not telling anybody.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this look, we're just going to hand out awards. I feel like there's a formula.
Yeah, there probably is. There probably is.
And I'm glad it's at the end of the show. You can't talk about that. You can't talk about that.
I know. You can.
There's no clean side to the shit. What'd you say?
You can't pick up a piece of shit by the clean end.
That's Automotive. Shaun, thank you so much for an amazing night of content. That was really fun and informative.
Thank you for having me, Jay. Appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. And thanks to everybody that tuned in and listened to us ramble. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure. If you're still here, God help you.
Yeah, no kidding. Get him a medal.
Shaun. Okay. You get an award. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Okay, man. Have a good night. Thanks a lot.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
All right, see you. Bye. All right, crazy show. I knew it was going to be a good one. And I milked it extra because, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do a show next Tuesday night. I'm going to switch it up. You know, I've been going live every Tuesday forever. Since before half of the automotive podcasts that are happening now were even a twinkling in their eye or whatever that is. I had a guest for next Tuesday night. I haven't heard back. I'm not going to push the issue. If he's good not doing a show, I'm good not doing a show. I'll continue to do shows. I think I laid it on pretty heavy on that downtown news. Does anybody care if you go out of business? But I did mean that. I don't think, man, this industry, man, good luck if you plan on being in automotive long term. The only way you'll survive that is if you are related to the owner, the previous owner, one of the current owners. Maybe if you went to school with somebody, not even that. Man, it's dark, and it's gonna get. Here's what's really crazy. This idea that we're making it all great again, I'm not trying to get political, but man, it is going to get really dark. I thought we were in a recession last year. Whoa. I'm sorry. It's about to get super dark, and the pretend levels are just going to keep ratcheting. Oh my God, it's going to be a totally plastic industry within a year, and the amount of AI, I don't even know. Man, I don't know. If you are successful right now, hang on to that formula. Hold on tight with both hands. I don't know where this thing is headed, and I'm now hosting the podcast. Like, this is the punk rock podcast. Everybody else is saying how great it is and great. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. I'm saying we got serious darkness coming, but it's going to have a smile on it. I don't know what is going to happen. There's still an automotive industry. People are still buying cars, moving cars, selling cars, and all this stuff. And man, they will stab you in the back at any moment. So go be a bodybuilder. Find your persona that fits in with LinkedIn. Like as many leadership posts as you can. And hold on tight. Okay. That's all I got. Here comes the car hauler. I'll see you Thursday. Man, we're going live Thursday too. CD Scloge. What would Doge cut in auto transport? That's Thursday. See ya. Bye.